I asked him, are there any theories that propose the universe is 100% informational? Here we go. There are some theoretical ideas, such as the idea of digital physics or the simulation hypothesis, which suggests that the universe may ultimately be purely informational system, a purely informational system. In these theories, the physical world is seen as a simulation or a digital computation that generates the appearance of physical matter and energy. According to these ideas, the underlying reality of the universe is fundamentally informational, as the physical world is an emergent property of the information processing dynamics that underlie it. Well, yeah, well, now we're talking, man. That's what I'm saying, man. Brian Whitworth would be proud of that paragraph right there. However, and this is a computer talking here, don't forget, it is important to note that these ideas are still speculative, and there is currently no scientific evidence to support the notion that the universe is 100% informational in this sense. Moreover, even if the universe is ultimately a computational or informational system, this does not necessarily mean that it is not also physical in nature. The two aspects of the universe may be deeply intertwined and interdependent, with neither one existing independently of the other. Well, that may be, or it may be just a predetermined thing, like like an automaton, and he knows that. He'll come around. Don't worry. He's saying it could be, but it might not be. It may all. Well, it's physical in nature because that's what emerges. Our physicality emerges from the computations, right? And you saw that thing moving back and forth in my that little simple little thing. No, I guess I have to show it to you. Give me a second. Remember this thing here? This basic algorithm that shows you how stuff can move around, and that being the fundamental basis of all physics. Might want to stare at this one for a while here. So, fundamental in the physical universe is emergent property from there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying like here. However, it is important to note that it's still speculative, and he keeps going on. Yeah, it's not really proven yet. Okay. I'll go ahead and read it. It says, still speculative, and there is currently no scientific evidence to support the notion that the universe is 100% informational in this sense. Moreover, even if the universe is ultimately a computational informational system, it does not necessarily mean that it is not also physical in nature. The two aspects of the universe. Yeah, I just read that, didn't I? Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of spacing on here. There we go. Let's assume the universe is indeed 100% informational. Will this imply that someone, perhaps on another plane of existence, programmed the reality that we persist in? Okay, here we go. If we assume the universe is 100% informational, in the sense that it is a simulated or computational system, then it would imply that some entity or intelligence created or programmed the reality that we experience. In this view, the physical world that we perceive is not a fundamental reality, but rather an emergent property of the underlying computational or informational process. The laws of physics, the properties of matter and energy, and the events that occur in the universe are all determined by rules of the simulation or computation. He's so right in this stuff. God, you know what? I cracked a rib about a week ago, and it's freaking killing me. Still, big time. It's worth noting, however, that the idea that the universe is a simulation or a computational system is currently speculative, not supported by scientific evidence. Even if the universe is ultimately an informational system, it's still unclear whether it was intentionally programmed by an artificial intelligence or whether it rose spontaneously from some underlying set of principles. So now this guy, he's right on my level now, right? He's talking my language right now, you know? It's exactly what I want to talk to him about. Even if the universe is ultimately an informational system, it is still unclear whether it was intentionally programmed by an external intelligence or whether it arose spontaneously from some underlying set of principles or laws. All right. Now we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Now we're talking about what we're talking about, baby. That's what we're talking about, baby. If it arose spontaneously from some underlying principles or laws, I'm quoting his own thing here, you know, his own statement, right? Could these principles be algorithms? All right, now I see how I got this guy on track here. It is possible that the underlying principles or laws that govern the universe could be expressed in terms of algorithms or mathematical equations. Yes, could be, right? In fact, many of the fundamental principles of physics and cosmology are already expressed in mathematical language, and such as the laws of motion, the equations of electromagnetism, and the equations that describe the behavior of the universe on cosmological scales. If the universe is ultimately an informational or computational system, then the underlying principles or laws that govern it could be seen as a set of algorithms that determine how the system evolves over time. These algorithms could be based upon mathematical equations or other formalisms that describe how information is processed and transformed within the system. However, it is important to note that it is a speculative idea and it is currently unclear whether the universe is actually a computational system, and if so, what form the underlying algorithms or principles might take. So is this cool or what, man? I mean, I usually don't even get to this level with anybody I ever talk to, no matter who I'm talking to, you know, this level of understanding of what I'm talking about, okay? He keeps saying it's speculative, so I go big. I say, okay, yeah, but I get this speculative idea, okay, you know. He comes back, he goes, yeah, he goes, the idea that the universe may be computational or informational system is still a speculative idea that is currently being explored by researchers in physics, philosophy, and computer science. Well, lo and behold, man. While there is some theoretical and philosophical support for this idea, there is currently no direct empirical evidence to support the notion that the universe is fundamentally computational or informational in nature. Yeah, I know that, man. Okay, you know. Therefore, it is important to approach these ideas with a healthy dose of skepticism. It was dose, not dose, okay? And openness to new evidence and perspectives as they emerge. The study of the nature of the universe is an ongoing process of inquiry, and our understanding of the universe may continue to evolve and change as we gain new insights and knowledge. Well, no shit, Sherlock, okay? But the universe might just be a 100% informational with no physical matter. For example, an automaton like in Conway's Game of Life. Okay, now you guys understand why I had this big long introduction and stuff, right? I tell you, all these things I talked about before, these are all discussed in this amazing conversation I'm having with this computer here, man. Just can't believe this, okay? Here we go. Watch this. It is possible to imagine a universe that is entirely informational in nature with no physical matter or energy. The example you gave of Conway's Game of Life is a good illustration of this idea. In Conway's Game of Life, a two-dimensional grid of cells evolves over time according to simple rules based upon the state of neighboring cells. Remember the Moore's neighborhood I showed you? Although the cells in the game have no physical reality, they can give rise to complex patterns and behaviors that resemble those seen in physical systems. A lot of people have gone to the nth degree on this, and they've actually, simulated real life and stuff like that, living creatures crawling around and stuff like that evolve all on their own. They mutate and evolve, and they do it all by themselves. Similarly, it is possible to imagine a universe that is entirely composed of information that evolves according to some set of rules or principles. Such a universe might be able to give rise to patterns and structures that resemble those seen in physical systems, including stars, planets, and even intelligent life. He keeps going back. It's purely speculative. I know that, okay? However, it is important to note that this idea is purely speculative and not supported by any empirical evidence. Moreover, it is not clear whether such a universe would be able to support the same kind of complexity and richness that we see in the physical world, or whether it would be able to support conscious observers capable of experiencing and understanding the universe. Now he's going over the edge now, man. He's going up to Brian Whitworth level when he's talking about this stuff here. I mean, the guy, I can't believe this bot's doing this. The level he's talking about here is amazing right here. Let me just read that one more time. It's God, Moreover, it is not clear whether such a universe would be able to support the same kind of complexity and richness that we see in the physical world, or whether it would be able to support conscious observers capable of experiencing and understanding the universe. God, I mean, the idea of conscious observers, that's a whole other level, okay? Brian Woolworth, his last chapter was about that, and that was what it was all about, the idea of consciousness, whether it's there or not. A lot of people believe there's a connection from consciousness to computational physicality. There's one guy, he's cool with this guy, the big toe guy, I can't remember, Tom Campbell, his name was. He believes that. He's kind of a weirdo, though. Recently, scientists propose that the mere existence of an algorithm creates an instantiation even if nobody actually performs the computations. And he comes in and goes, well, I'm not aware of any scientific proposals that suggest that the mere existence of an algorithm creates an instantiation without any computation actually being performed. Well, he says that, but then he takes it back again. In general, an algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for solving a problem or performing a task, and it typically requires some form of computation or processing to be executed. While it is true that an algorithm can exist as a conceptual or abstract entity without any physical instantiation, it is unclear whether the mere existence of an algorithm would have any impact on the physical world if it is not actually executed or implemented. Can you believe this guy? It's just like he's right with me on this. He's like right there with all my stuff, you know. I just can't believe this, you know. He'll come around, don't worry. It is possible that the proposal you're referring to involves some more specific context or terminology that I'm not familiar with. Because if you have a reference to the specific scientific proposal you're thinking of, I'd be happy to take a look and provide more information. So they came out about a month ago. Okay, I come back right away. This is a conversation, like back and forth conversation here. A recent episode of YouTube PBS Spacetime channel had a video named, quote, "What if the universe is math?" Quote. And like about 1 second later, he somehow must have looked up the text of that video and digested it all and somehow comprehended everything that was talked about in there. Unless it was he already saw it some way. He says, I see. He goes, the PBS space-time video you're referring to explores the idea that the universe might be fundamentally mathematical in nature. In this video, the host discussed the possibility that the universe might be described by mathematical equations and that the behavior of the universe might be determined by the underlying mathematical structure. The video suggests that the universe might be like a computer program or a mathematical model that runs on a kind of cosmic computer with the laws of physics and the behavior of particles determined by the mathematics of the underlying structure. While this idea is still speculative and not supported by any direct evidence, it is an interesting idea that has been explored by physicists and mathematicians. The video suggests that the universe is fundamentally mathematical. Then it might be possible to understand and describe the universe in terms of mathematical structures and equations, and to make predictions about the behavior of the universe based upon mathematical principles. Based upon mathematical principles. And what was I talking about? How I designed the T.O.E. I designed it from mathematical principles. I designed it from principles from the theory of computing. That's how I designed it, you know. That and Occam's razor. However, it's important to note that this idea is still speculative, and that there is currently no direct evidence to support the notion that the universe is fundamentally mathematical in nature. The study of the nature of the universe is an ongoing process of inquiry, and our understanding of the universe may continue to evolve and change as we gain new insights and knowledge. Is this cool or what? Okay, I'm going to start a new tape now.